rhetoric that you heard today is simply political.
I say BS. Our calculations beg to differ.
You ought to be able to own that free and clear of the government.
The discussion over the future of property taxes in Florida is getting louder as lawmakers prepare to take on one of the governor's priorities.
Should property taxes be reformed or eliminated altogether? Proposals are now coming forward as a House panel prepares to meet next week.
Over the past year, Ron DeSantis has dropped a bombshell on Florida and on Florida lawmakers, saying he wants to eliminate property taxes for all homestead properties, primary resident owners. He's come out and said, you know what? Affordability is at a crisis. We need to take a hard look at what our tax burden looks like, and we need to make sure we figure this thing out and do it fast.
The notion that you should be just paying rent to them indefinitely.
So today I'm going to go through some research I just did. There are many laws and proposals which have now taken shape that you need to know about if you own a home here now or if you're considering buying one. Because one thing is clear by the actions of our state, tax relief is on the way. But there's a lot of different ideas swirling about this already, some rumors and some reality. But additional to that, in the past couple weeks, there were major announcements by some of the largest utility providers on what power and utility expenses are going to look like for state of Florida homeowners. We're going to cover that. There are major changes coming in 2026 that if you are considering solar, you might want to jump on the bandwagon sooner than later. This is going to be a fun one, folks. And if you appreciate the update, dive down below, smash the thumbs up, leave a comment. This video is going to need some support because I'm sure the haters are going to show up. Let's get into the update. Top story is early 2025, Ron DeSantis dropped a bombshell heard around the nation as he said he wants to end Florida property taxes for good for primary resident owners. There has already been major benefits and ripple effects due to the nature that it's driving politicians to have to look in their pockets and see exactly what money they have and what they're doing with it. Now, the real scuttlebutt behind all this is all the committees that are taking place across the state of Florida. You have every major county. The lawmakers are going, we better put our heads together because this is coming. We got to figure it out. And many of them want to be involved in the planning phases. So there's been a lot of interesting things. The good news about all of this is I would say I have finally seen more chatter, more bipartisan support from lawmakers to say we need to look at what is going on. What is our spending going for? And there are crazy, crazy things surfacing just from this alone.
Like Hillsborough Commissioner Josh Wastel say it's proof of bloated budgets and an unbearable burden on those trying to make ends meet. He's advocating for an elimination of property taxes, but a rise of 3.7% in Hillsborough County sales taxes to make up for it.
About 20 to 30% of that is entirely subsidized from people that don't live here. That's free money for the fixed income seniors and low income people.
State lawmakers will likely be the ultimate deciders, given major changes to property tax rules often have to be placed on the ballot as a referendum.
But at the same time, for them to just have such a small adjustment to the sales tax, there's going to have to be cuts to waste, fraud, and abuse in the system. And this has gotten really loud from the executive branch of the state of Florida. Blaise Ingoglia, the CFO of the state of Florida, came out and accused Orange County, of overcharging its citizens on the order of $200 million a year. Now, it wasn't just us. He nailed Jacksonville too after doing an audit over the past 5 years and saying, you know what? Your tax budgets have grown through the roof and you've not relieved your citizens. Now, I want to be careful sharing all this because this is the surface of what's been reported.
I say BS. Our calculations beg to differ.
Weeks after issuing subpoenas to 16 county employees, Florida CFO Blaise Ingoglia is accusing Orange County government of overtaxing residents by nearly $200 million.
The $190 million worth of excessive wasteful spending that we see here in Orange County is enough to stop me, if I was a legislator, for putting in any appropriation for Orange County.
The rhetoric that you heard today is simply political.
Mayor Jerry Demings dismissing the claims and saying Ingoglia is using, quote, fuzzy math to reach his findings about the increase in the budget over the past 5 years.
I want to tell you, I know many politicians locally. They're good people and they're true public servants. And I've seen some sketchy stuff, some of which I'm going to tell you about right now on the order of millions in waste that I personally witnessed. And now it's unfolding right out in front of the public, which again leads us all to say, you know what? Maybe if we curb all this weird stuff that goes on in our government's cutting checks to all kinds of charities year in and year out. Why should our government write checks to charities? Like, if we want to do charity, we should be doing that on an individual level. But additionally to that, there's all kinds of pet social programs and things that have come under massive scrutiny. In fact, Orange County pushed back, cooperating with the governor's office. There were subpoenas made to actually get cooperation in order to fulfill that. Now, both the mayors in Jacksonville and Orlando said this guy is on a witch hunt, and which is not true. Blaze shot back specifically at the Jacksonville mayor by, when he was leaving Jacksonville at the airport, standing next to a poster of the mayor, which is a holographic digital poster, and saying, I'm taking a $75,000 selfie, because the mayor had invested $100,000 of taxpayer money to make a digital poster to greet people coming into the city of Jacksonville.
That's outrageous.
And honestly, folks, I think it's rampant. I just don't think we know the end of it, because ultimately the collection of our taxes has ballooned over the past 5 years. The relative size of these governments haven't necessarily changed. Now listen to this. I remember about a year ago, before the election cycle, I saw an Orlando Realtor Association email, because I'm a board member in my area. Our board president was standing with the Orange County Supervisor of Elections. They're all doing this photo op where the Supervisor of Election is giving the Orlando Association of Realtors a $40,000 check to some Orlando-based charity that I've personally never heard of. And I thought to myself, why is the Supervisor of Elections handing out thousands and thousands of county dollars to some trade organization? Now, the interesting thing, if you go online and you can search this out, the photo op is out there and everybody's holding their vote bags. And obviously that was sent to all of us in the board. And I don't know what the point was. There wasn't an overt political thing, but I'm just saying that is so weird. Well, it turns to find out this same gentleman, the Supervisor of Elections, has now been brought on charges because he spent millions of dollars all over the place. Many of these, like sending money to colleges, sending money to trade organizations, and then now they're sending it back. So this new Supervisor of Elections comes in, thankfully, in 2025 and goes, what is this guy doing? Why is he sending money? Turns out the guy makes like $400,000 a year in government. $400,000 a year. Insane. So here's the thing. I know it's an anecdotal case, but I would imagine maybe, just maybe, Blaze and Goglia is onto something, and these governments are bloated, and ultimately, maybe we could put a sales tax and actually distribute the expenses of our government across all people. Imagine if everybody had a hand in supporting the expenses of the general funds of each of these counties and cities. What do you think? Tell me below. Is the idea of pulling the revenue we need from sales tax a good idea? How about, is it a good idea when 30% of your paying revenue will probably come from international visitors? Is it a good idea? Just let me know in the comments. I'm curious what you think.
Hey, it's me interrupting myself. Ready to make a move? Just one call, no hassle, put 23 years of experience and nearly 4,000 satisfied home sales to work for you.
Jared Jones is the way to go. Call 706-5000.
So if you're new to the discussion on property taxes, let me help you understand one thing. Florida has what's called a homestead exemption that exists for all primary residents. So if you come to the state of Florida, you get a break on how much your home is assessed for, okay? So your home is assessed a value. That value is multiplied times what is called a millage rate. Every jurisdiction in the state of Florida has a millage rate, which is a factor multiplied to your value that gives you what you pay every year. So for instance, if your millage rate is X percent per $1,000, that equals what you pay. So the homestead exemption lowers your value by $50,000, whatever they assess it at, and then you're paying less. The second thing the homestead exemption does is it locks in the rate at which your home assessment can grow by 3%. So in a fast-growing economy, you're protected from your property taxes spiraling while you own your home. Now, many proponents of eliminating property taxes for homestead say the millage rate is a trick, that the millage rate itself can be adjusted by the jurisdiction anytime they want. And that is pretty true on the short answer. If they want to bring it up and charge you more, then you're going to pay more. Now, the interesting thing is that Orange County hasn't reduced their millage rates recently. That is the county for Orlando. And Lake County, on the other hand, which is where Claremont is housed, and the south end of Lake County does fall into the Orlando metro, they've actually lowered their millage rate, and I think it's lower than it's been in 5 years. But you need to understand all that to understand a lot of the measures that have passed through Congress in the past year. Because lawmakers this year used the homestead exemption as a tool to lower taxation on homestead properties, trying to raise the exemption from $50,000 to $100,000, reducing the multiplier for those burdens for people that are primary residents. All of them, unfortunately, died in committee. But what didn't die Governor Ron DeSantis proposed an average of $1,000 tax rebate across the board for homeowners in the state of Florida. And that is exciting, and that is still on the move to potentially be approved and take place later this year. In the past year, we had Amendment 5 come out, which actually allows the Homestead exemption, that is the multiplier, grows. The savings you will get will grow if inflation grows. So lawmakers in Florida said if the CPI or the inflation index starts to climb, then the amount of your homestead exemption should grow with it. The problem is that is a very small amount. It is not going to be a big number and a big savings. It sounds interesting, but that's the end of it. It's going to save maybe $20, $30 over 5 years, what I saw in the estimates. All right, the next tax benefit you need to know about in Florida that is major is that solar tax benefits are ending. There is a tax rebate for 30% of the cost of equipment and installation for a new solar system. So in Florida, I'd wager the average solar system to cover your home's usage will be $35,000, $40,000. The way it works, you get a tax benefit, a tax rebate for 30% of the value. But that law is coming to an end at the end of December. I do not believe it will be renewed, or there's no interest in the Trump administration in renewing it. So ultimately, if your system is not on the house and operational, you will not get the benefit. There is most likely, if you're watching this video anytime soon, time for you to get that and make it happen. But again, a $30,000 system, you're talking a $9,000 rebate towards adding a solar system to your house. Pretty big benefit, pretty big savings, especially if you need tax benefits. A couple things you need to know: even if this tax rebate does end, there will be no ongoing sales tax if you purchase solar equipment in the future. That's been something that's been waived at the federal level and will continue to be in place. Next thing you need to know is that having a solar plant, even an extremely valuable one, like a $90,000 solar plant, will not increase the assessed value of your home. Now, if you're a commercial industrial investor, get this. Non-residential gets an 80% tax abatement for adding solar up to 2037. So if you are considering solar, now is the time. You probably got 2 to 4 months of install time to get this figured out and have it on your roof in order to take advantage of that rebate before it disappears. Now, a silver lining update: Duke Energy, one of Florida's largest energy providers, just announced they are going to be reducing $44 a month on average for 1,000 kilowatt use residential customers. Essentially, this will start in March. So if you are a Duke Energy customer, you should see your usage cost go down and see a decrease, which is exciting news. Now, before that happens, they are actually going to increase it. January and February will be higher than last year, but then it will drop, because what Duke Energy says is they've had a storm recovery cost baked into the cost of our energy, and that is actually being removed. So they've had to deal with Milton and Helen and all these storms over the past few years. There's been a cost associated with that, but they're on the other side of it, and they're expecting to decrease our rates into the year ahead. So that's good news. Maybe. Will we see it? I don't know. Let me know in the comments. Next story I want to cover is school choice is now around $8,000 to $10,000 a year. You get money back for school choice in Florida. This has been a very popular program. Nearly 500,000 students statewide are taking advantage of it. It now has nearly no income limitations. Nearly everybody can actually use it. And what happens is you essentially get rebated back. So whatever your per student district cost is, you're going to get a concession for that amount so that you can take your child and put them whatever school you want. The funds can be used for private school tuition, homeschooling, tutoring, education, and online materials, as well as transportation for a K through 8 student up to $750 per year. So maybe something you want to consider. Now, how do you get it? You apply through the Florida Department of Education or through one of the approved scholarship providers. Money follows your student, whatever education model you choose. As I said earlier, who qualifies? Pretty much everyone, because all the income requirements have been removed to this point. Now, less known, but also somewhat beneficial for taxes, we have sales tax holidays in Florida. You have a back-to-school sales tax holiday in the month of August, and you have a hunting, fishing, and camping holiday that runs September 8th through the end of December. Another lesser-known grant that you may not be aware of is the My Safe Home Florida program, which allows for up to $10,000 for savings for home hardening, which are improvements to your house, which can massively benefit your home insurance premium. So a double win. Additionally, we talked about property taxes earlier. If you're not aware, if you're a senior 65 and older on lower income, there are benefits to save money for your property tax as well. First responders get a break. Also, disabled military have all kinds of discounts related to your property taxes if you are a homeowner here in the state of Florida. But let's say you're moving to Florida and you want to save as much as you can. Here's some important things you need to know. And this is your homework. Every year, you're going to get a tax bill in August. You have 25 days to appeal that notice. If you have any issues with what they sent you, you got to deal with it right up front. Number two, if you move to Florida, if you're in here now, you buy a primary residence, you are going to want to file your homestead immediately. You have until the beginning of March before that deadline takes place. You want to make sure that that never lapses, that you do it right up front before your first updated tax bill arrives. Do you have a solar decision to make for your home? And I would encourage you, I've said this on other videos, don't add solar unless it is a long-term hold plan. Think of it like a swimming pool. You would not do this massive investment and then sell the house a year, 2 years later. You will just not recoup it. It's like a 6-7 year recoup for solar. So make sure that's in the cards. But if you do plan to get it, now is the time to consider it if you want that 30% tax rebate. If you want school choice, apply for the scholarship. But the bottom line, my friends, property taxes probably aren't going anywhere tomorrow, but there are real savings and real benefits being promoted. And I would say, in large, the conversation is positive. It's going in a good direction. And I believe there's a little bit more of a renewed effort for stewardship and care for tax dollars. And that's what we all want. It doesn't matter if you're left, right, center. You want your dollars spent wisely. You want people to steward it well and be responsible with it. Did I help you understand the marketplace better here in Orlando? And if I did, make me this promise that when you're ready to buy or sell in Florida, you'll remember this moment and give me the opportunity to earn your business. Even outside of Orlando, I can help you by connecting you with a trusted agent. I honestly do not make these videos for ad revenue. I make them to build a relationship with you before you need me. So please, if I've added value, do me a favor and commit right now to give me a chance when the time is right. And if you haven't done so already, do me a favor, drop down below, smash the thumbs up. It'd mean a lot to me and help the channel. Consider subscribing so you don't miss these regular updates on growth, housing market, and data news across the Orlando market.
Jared Jones is the way to go. Call 706-5000.
If you're in the Central Florida area and you're looking for a great church, I'd love for you to join me at the Grove Bible Chapel. Just visit joinmeatthegrove.com for full details.